Hi, my name is Kenneth and I'm presenting a movie poster about a sci-fi action film called Ant-Man. If you have not watched this movie yet, it's basically a superhero that has the ability to shrink to the size of an ant, hence the title. I'll be talking about the effectiveness of this poster, applying the Big Three theory into the concept of this movie poster, its effectiveness in sending out its message, and probably a few suggestions on what could be done to make this poster a little bit more effective and appealing to the audience. Let's start off with usability. If we take a glimpse of the entire poster, the very things that we're going to notice first is obviously Captain America's shield, the title Ant-Man, and the superhero himself standing on top of the shield. I think it's very neat since we don't see any other images that distracts us apart from seeing these things. It's pretty ingenious that they designed the superhero to stand on top of the shield in his shrunken form, because it's literally showing his signature form that he can shrink. And that's the main focus of the entire movie, that he has the ability to shrink to the size of an ant. I would also like to highlight the choice of color being used on the movie poster, that you realize three images are being shaded pretty dark, such as the title, the shield, and the suit, and the use of the active white background being used. What happens is that these white and dark images, since they're on polar opposite ends, they really create a big contrast, and that probably helps us to focus on these images in the first place. Moving on to the text on the top section, basically we have the big title, Ant-Man. And speaking again, he has a good contrast, being dark red along with the white background. I think it has a very unique title font and color, because the color represents the color of the suit, which is red, the uniform itself. And the font, I might be overanalyzing, but if you can see the top part of these letters, they actually represents the antenna of the ant, since like the A, the ant, the T, they all kind of stick out in a triangular form. So that might be the representation of the antenna of the ant themselves. The text below is of reasonable size, since it's not exactly the main attraction of the poster, unlike the title, but it is important enough that he has to be present. Again, the choice of color for the date is pretty good, white complementing with the dark shield, the blue colors behind, and which leaves only the small part, which I think is placed pretty badly, the 3D and the IMAX 3D information there. First off, it's really very small there, like readers have to probably squint their eyes. And the part of the text blends in with the background, the gray part right there, which this could also signifies that it's not important, and thus they didn't really find a need to make it really stand out. Probably a compromise on their side. In my opinion, the simple option, which is basically to just remove it or use white color just like the date. But I think the better option would be just to remove it, because it's not, in first place, it's not really that much of an important information. Next off is reader centeredness. Who are the audience? And it's really obvious that they're actually targeting Marvel fans or people who have watched previous movies such as the Avengers, Captain America. It's evidence, it's basically from the text on top, from the studio that brought you the Avengers. The Avengers are basically another movie that was created by Marvel, and the shield there is of course Captain America's shield, and this implies that Ant-Man definitely has an alliance to Captain America in some ways or another, as well as the other audience are probably people who like actions, because the Ant-Man title make it sound like it's a superhero movie itself, you know, like Batman, Superman, Iron Man. And since they're showing the signature form that this guy can shrink, he obviously has some sort of shrinking technology, which makes him sort of an action superhero. Which brings us to our next focus on persuasiveness. How do we persuade our target audience people to watch this movie? Well, people who have watched other Marvel movies like me will definitely want to watch this, because there are lots of features that reminds us of that. Example is Captain America's shield, that the text saying no shield, no hammer represents also another superhero weapon, which is Thor from Marvel. and the text that says The Avengers. For the people who have not watched, however, apart from Ant-Man's signature move, there really isn't anything else that portrays a sense of action. It's just him standing on a shield rather than doing some sort of action like running or fighting. So my suggestion is that the superhero can pose some actions like fighting on a shield, along with some ants, which that would be pretty cool. That being said, all this could backfire at the same time since it doesn't address the audiences that didn't watch the previous Marvel movies yet. So these informations or content might not be interpretable to them, including the pictures of Captain America that also have no meaning at all, leaving only one subject, which is the superhero himself, to tell the message trying to entice this audience. Thus, it's not very effective. Overall, this movie poster will react strongly to the audience that are fans of Marvel. Might do about the average for the non-Marvel fans. However, the strong visual cues should compensate for that weak point since it's visually appealing and interesting.